Katrina Hobbs and welcome to 3D Planet. Egypt is a country of mystery and wonder, and perhaps the birthplace of civilization as we know it. So let's explore this country together like you've never seen it before. And just remember to put on your 3D glasses whenever you see the symbol on your screen. Egypt, land of pharaohs, pyramids, the Sphinx, and the great river Nile. With over 6,000 years of history, it's hard not to be affected by Egypt's glorious past. It's difficult to imagine the true age of these wonders, but perhaps it's easier to understand when we remember that Cleopatra stands closer in time to us than she did to the builders of the pyramids. Join me on a journey through a land of wonder and discovery. Explore the old and the new, and experience places where the past and present seem to unite. Egypt is a land of cultural diversity, with the legacy left by the ancient Greeks and Romans, the heritage of the early Christians, and the art and architecture of centuries of Islamic dynasties. For visitors today, Egypt is not simply a destination for monuments and museums. It's also a land of sun and fun, with plenty of sports and adventure. From the lush, fertile fields of the Nile banks to the rich aquatic beauty of the Red Sea, Egypt is a land of striking contrasts. It's no wonder that Egypt has become one of the most popular travel destinations in the world. Egypt is located on the northeastern tip of the African continent. The Mediterranean Sea lies to the north and the Red Sea to the east, while the Sinai forms the only land bridge between Africa and the Middle East. Our journey begins in Cairo, home of the Great Pyramids. You can't go to the pyramids without going for a ride on a camel. But camels aren't actually indigenous to Egypt. They actually were brought here about 500 BC by the Persians. So you won't see them on any of the ancient works of art. I think we're off now. Whoa! Oh my gosh! And it's tricky to balance on them too. But I've got a good guide. See you soon. The history of Egypt begins here in the shadows of the Great Pyramids. These are the only survivors of the 7 ancient wonders of the world, and they still evoke a sense of mystery as to exactly how they were built. Here, 4,500 years ago, on the plateau of Giza, 20,000 workers needed 19 years to build the Cheops Pyramid. 2,300,000 blocks of stone, some weighing as much as 9 tons, were used to build an eternal tomb for a divine king. Between the paws of the great Sphinx stands the Dream Stealer, which tells a story of the time that Thutmose IV fell asleep under the Sphinx, which was covered to the neck in sand.
In his dream, the Sphinx promised him that if he cleared away the sand, he would become king of Egypt. Cairo, the jewel of the Orient, is the capital of Egypt. Straddling the Great Nile River, it's a city where past and present meet. With a population of over 16 million people, it's the largest city in both Africa and the Middle East. Islam is the predominant religion in Egypt, with about 90% of the population being Muslim. Cairo is known as the city of 1,000 minarets because of its many beautiful mosques. However, before the arrival of Islam, Christianity was the main religion, and many of the tales of the Old Testament take place in Egypt. Without a doubt, one of the world's most famous museums with the greatest collection of Egyptian antiquities is the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. It's truly a place of discovery. The museum can be somewhat daunting due to the sheer number of exhibits on show. In fact, if you gave every exhibit just 1 minute, it would take 9 months to see everything. But it's a dream come true for anyone who wants to get close to these real Egyptian artifacts. Cairo offers an incredible selection of shopping, leisure, culture and nightlife, but the Khan el-Khalili souk, or bazaar, is the most famous. Largely unchanged since the 14th century, the Khan, as it is now known, is one of Cairo's most important shopping areas. But more than that, it personifies the age-old market tradition which established Cairo as a major centre of trade. All the bounty of the East is here. Perfumes, gold, silver, carpets, brass and copperware, leatherwork, glass, ceramics, and of course spices. The spice monopoly controlled by the Mamluks encouraged the Europeans to find new routes to the east, and indirectly led to Columbus discovering the Americas. So this very market could be responsible for the founding of the United States. One thing is certain, it was trade which brought Cairo's early wealth and enabled it to become one of the great cities of the world. But shopping is not the only option at the Khan. After a heavy day's bargaining, you can sit back in Fashawi's coffee house and enjoy a delicious pot of mint tea, or perhaps a Turkish nargila pipe. Fashawi's claims to have been open 24 hours a day for the past 200 years. "200 kilometers north of Cairo is the port city of Alexandria, which around the birth of Christ was the site of the Bibliotheca Alexandria, the Great Library. It became the world's first university, with scholars including Heron and Archimedes. But it was destroyed by fires which ravaged Alexandria during the 1st century AD. The Egyptian government recently built a new Library of Alexandria in the spirit of the old. Designed to inspire, the new Great Library is again endowing this part of the world with an important focal point for education and science. Egypt's Red Sea coast runs from the Gulf of Suez to the Sudanese border. Its mineral-rich red mountain ranges inspired the mariners to name the sea Mare Nostrum, or the Red Sea. Our first stop is Hurghada, on Egypt's east coast, a paradise for holidaymakers. Here there's something for everyone. Secluded beaches, desert safaris and exclusive hotels. Endless family entertainment, great nightlife, and for the truly adventurous, some of the world's best diving. Ever since Jacques Cousteau explored its waters 4 decades ago, the Red Sea has attracted and amazed divers from all over the world. Along the southern and eastern shores of the Sinai, incredible sights are scattered like pearls for hundreds of miles. From the celebrated walls and blue holes north of Dahab to the unmatched splendour of Ras Mohammed's lush underwater beds. For thousands of years, the Sinai Peninsula has been a major region for religious pilgrimages. So in some ways, it could be said that tourism is nothing new to the area. In the last few decades, however, the shape of tourism has considerably changed. Sharm el-Sheikh is one of the most accessible and developed tourist resort communities on the Sinai Peninsula. In fact, with windsurfing, water sports, horse and camel riding, desert safaris, nightclubs, golf courses and health facilities, it's impossible to suffer from boredom. Even for those with a need for speed. After the rigours of the day, it's time to do something for the body and soul. I'm taking a sand bath, a traditional Bedouin practice dating back thousands of years. It's considered a remedy for various ailments, ranging from rheumatism to plain old muscle fatigue. The treatment involves being covered up to the neck in special oasis sand. Although it's quite heavy, the feeling is warm and incredibly soothing, even if there are certain impracticalities. Our journey leads us 1,200 kilometres south of Cairo to Aswan, the southernmost of Egypt's cities. Without a doubt, the Nile is at its most beautiful here. The mighty sands of the desert are held at bay by the fertile banks of the Nile. The more African atmosphere in Aswan is provided by the Nubian influence. This offers a more relaxed pace of life.
Is it this way? Yeah.
I've been invited for lunch by some local Nubians. The vibrant colours of the houses here are amazing. In their modest kitchen, the women do the cooking, but following Nubian tradition, only the men gather to dine with their guests.
Oh my gosh.
There's certainly a wonderfully easygoing manner about the way they sit and eat. However, some of their dishes are, shall we say, flavoursome.
But really spicy. Ooh, sounds very effective.
Not far from central Aswan are the ancient granite quarries, where obelisks were carved from solid rock. The largest one they attempted to carve still lies in the hillside after a crack was found in the stone. It's known as the unfinished obelisk.
It's hard to imagine a stone like this, weighing over 1,000 tons, being cut, dragged to the river, placed and finished without breaking it. Queen Hatshepsut had 2 of these obelisks made within the space of a year.
Nearby, resting in the Nile, lies Elephantine Island.
This is the Nilometer on Elephantine Island. It was developed to record the annual flooding. Taxes were then calculated and levied according to the height of the river. So, in other words, the higher the Nile, the higher the taxes. And in order to make these calculations, the ancient Egyptians developed a system we now know as algebra.
One of the most relaxing ways for a visitor to enjoy Egypt is cruising along the Nile between Aswan and Luxor. As the banks of the Nile drift slowly by, one gets the feeling that little has changed since the time of the Pharaohs. The Nile, over 6,500 kilometres long, this mighty river is the longest in the world. And without the Nile, Egypt would perhaps not exist. Essentially, it's one long oasis, providing water to a land where virtually it never rains. Ancient Egyptians called their land Kernet, which means black, after the black silt-layered soil that was left behind after the annual flooding, making it one of the most fertile regions in the world. In fact, 6,000 years ago, Egypt had a population of 2 million people, more than anywhere else at that time. The ancient Egyptian astronomers were able to calculate a connection between the flooding of the Nile with the movement of the stars. They determined a cycle from 365 days and thereby invented the calendar, which we still use today. After 2 days cruising, we arrive in Luxor, a city of some 150,000 people, which has often been called the world's greatest open-air museum. But first, I want to explore the town, and one of the nicest ways to do this is with the old faithful horse and carriage. Luxor, or Thebes as it was known, was the seat of power in Egypt from 2100 to 750 BC. The Arabs renamed it Luxor, meaning City of Palaces. On the west bank of Luxor is the mortuary temple of Queen Hatshepsut, one of the most dramatically situated in the world. While there were many queens of Egypt, before Hatshepsut there had never been a female pharaoh. She ruled for around 20 years before disappearing through somewhat suspicious circumstances. This is Karnak, perhaps the greatest temple of all. It was built over 1,500 years. It's dedicated to the Theban gods and to the greater glory of Egypt. Karnak Temple is on the east bank of Luxor. The site is difficult to comprehend as it's more than a temple, it's a complex of sanctuaries, kiosks, pylons and obelisks. The great temple at the heart of Karnak is in fact so big that St. Peter's, Milan and Notre Dame cathedrals could all be lost within its walls. This is the scarab, the god of creation, and there's a local tradition that if you walk around it 7 times, your wish will come true. There are so many wonders in Egypt. Sometimes it's better just to sit back and take it all in. Humanity has always searched for the meaning of life, trying to reconcile its mortality with the desire to attain immortality. Nowhere is this better illustrated than in ancient Egypt. The pharaoh's journey to eternity has been preserved in the temples of ancient Egyptian architecture. An inscription on the obelisk in Karnak says, "O ye people who see this monument in years to come, and speak of that which I have made, beware lest you say, I know not why it was done. I did it because I wished to make a gift for my father Amun." The splendours of the ancient Egyptian have been a source of inspiration through the ages. During the late Greek and Roman periods, tourists flocked to marvel Egypt, and they've been doing so ever since. After his travels through Egypt in the 5th century BC, the Greek historian Herodotus wrote, "Nowhere are there so many marvellous things as in Egypt, nor in the world besides are to be seen so many things of unspeakable greatness." On Luxor's west bank lies the Valley of the Kings, the world's best-known graveyard. One of the dilemmas when you're in the Valley of the Kings is trying to decide which of the 62 tombs to go into. Now, even though these tombs are cut deep into the rock, they can still be swelteringly hot, so make sure you take some water. And for the serious tomb explorer, a flashlight can be very useful. For ancient Egyptians, death was seen merely as the beginning of a journey to another world. Pictures on the walls of tombs tell us about the lives of the kings and their families. Furniture and riches were buried with him, so he would have the familiar comforts in the blissful world of the afterlife. But over the centuries, thieves came to loot and plunder, raiding the pharaohs' tombs and desecrating their holy chambers. As for him who shall destroy this tomb, he shall not reach his home, he shall not embrace his children, he shall not see success. Such inscriptions found on the tombs of the pharaohs have created their own mythology, the curse of the mummy's tomb.
In this extraordinary country of Egypt, where they have so much to offer and so many secrets to uncover, I really feel as though I've only just begun. And now, unfortunately, I have to go and have more adventures. So I'll see you next time.